They say you can get used to anything if it happens long enough. That's a lie. I never got used to the dark. 170 days. That's how long I spent in that dungeon beneath the Silvercrest packhouse, chained, starved, and experimented on like I was something less than human. Less than wolf. Less than nothing. My name is Mira Ashwood, and this is the story of how I died in that darkness, and became something they should have feared from the very beginning. But before I tell you about the beast I became, before I tell you about the mate bond that shouldn't exist and the alpha who looked at me like I was both his salvation and his destruction, let me tell you about day 170. Because that was the day I finally broke. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel, **** if you're new here, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I love connecting with you all. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want to see where this story goes. This one's dark, it's twisted, and it's going to leave you breathless. Now, are you ready? Let's dive in. The silver burned. That's the thing they don't tell you about silver chains, they don't just restrain you. They consume you. Every point of contact where the metal touched my skin felt like acid eating through flesh, through bone, through whatever shred of hope I had left. I couldn't remember what daylight looked like anymore. Couldn't remember the last time I'd shifted, the last time I'd felt my wolf stir inside me. They'd pumped so much wolfsbane into my veins that she'd gone silent months ago. I used to feel her there, a warm presence in the back of my mind, defiant and fierce. Now there was only emptiness. And pain. Always pain. The door at the top of the stone stairs groaned open, and I flinched despite myself. My body had learned to fear that sound, it meant they were coming. It meant needles and blades and experiments that made me wish they'd just kill me already. But they wouldn't. Because I was valuable. Not as a person. Not as Mira. But as a subject. Footsteps echoed down the stairs, 2 sets. I recognized them by sound now. Dr. Aren, the pack scientist, moved with precise, measured steps. His assistant, a young wolf named Cade who wouldn't meet my eyes, shuffled behind him like he was being dragged to his own execution. At least he felt something. That was more than I could say for Aren. Subject 17, Varen's clinical voice cut through the darkness. He always called me that. Never Mira. Never by my name. Today we'll be testing the limits of your regenerative capabilities. I wanted to laugh. Regenerative capabilities. As if I had any left. She's too weak, Cade's voice was barely a whisper. Dr. Aren, the last treatment nearly killed her. If we push her again, then we'll have our answer, won't we? The lantern light swung closer, and I squeezed my eyes shut against the sudden brightness. Even that small amount of light felt like knives stabbing into my skull after so long in the dark. I heard the clink of glass vials. Smelled the acrid chemical scent of whatever new poison they'd concocted. Please, I whispered, and I hated myself for begging. I'd sworn I wouldn't beg anymore. But the words slipped out anyway, broken and small. Please, just let me die. Death would contaminate the results, Aren said, as if that explained everything. As if that made any of this okay. I felt the needle pierce my neck, the same spot as always, right where my pulse fluttered weak and desperate. Whatever they injected burned like liquid fire, racing through my veins, setting every nerve ending alight. I screamed. God, I screamed until my throat was raw, until I tasted blood, until the darkness swallowed the sound and gave nothing back. And then, something shifted. Deep inside me, in that hollow place where my wolf used to be, something moved. It wasn't her. Wasn't the warm, familiar presence I'd known since I was 13 and first shifted under the full moon. This was different. Ancient. Hungry. Her vitals are spiking. Cade's voice pitched high with panic. Heart rate at 180, no, 200, sir, this isn't normal. Fascinating, Varen murmured, and I could hear the sick excitement in his voice. Document everything. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. The fire in my veins intensified, but the pain was changing. Morphing into something else. Something that felt almost like power. My eyes snapped open. The dungeon was still dark, but I could see. Every detail, every crack in the stone, every drop of my own blood on the floor. And more than that, I could see light. Threads of it, silver and gold, weaving through the air like a tapestry only I could perceive. What? I breathed, and my voice didn't sound like my own anymore. It resonated, echoed, carried a weight that made both men take a step back. The silver chains around my wrists began to glow. No, not glow. Melt. Impossible, Varen whispered. Silver can't. The chains shattered. 170 days of captivity, and they broke in a heartbeat. I fell forward onto my hands and knees, gasping, shaking, feeling power flood through me like a dam had burst. It was too much, too overwhelming, and I didn't understand what was happening to me. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I was done being their victim. Sedate her. Varen shouted. Now. Cade fumbled for a syringe, his hands trembling, but I was faster. So much faster than I should have been after months of starvation and torture. I lunged forward, grabbed his wrist, and the world stopped. Not literally. But time seemed to slow, and in that frozen moment, I saw something in Cade's eyes. Not cruelty. Not indifference. Guilt. Run, I told him, my voice that strange, resonant thing that didn't belong to the broken girl I'd been. Run, and don't come back. He didn't need to be told twice. Varen, however, was already backing toward the stairs, reaching for something at his belt. A weapon. Of course he had a weapon. You're not leaving this room, he said, but his voice shook. You're too dangerous. You're the evidence of everything you've done to me. I finished, rising to my feet. My legs shouldn't have held me. I'd barely been able to stand for weeks. But now I felt strong. Powerful in a way I'd never experienced. Is that what you were going to say, Doctor? Shadows gathered at my fingertips. Actual shadows. Living darkness that responded to my will like it had been waiting for me to call it. What am I? You were supposed to be powerless, Varen breathed, genuine fear flickering across his face. The prophecy said. I don't care what the prophecy said. The shadows wrapped around my arms like armor, like extensions of my own body. I only care about one thing now. I took a step forward. He took two back. Making sure you never hurt anyone again. He ran. Smart man. But not smart enough. I could have caught him. Could have wrapped him in shadows and made him pay for every single thing he'd done to me. Every needle, every cut, every day he stole from me. But as I stood there in that dungeon, feeling power pulse through me like a second heartbeat, I realized something. Revenge could wait. First, I needed to escape. I needed to see the sun again. Needed to understand what I'd become. Needed to figure out why the hell ancient power had decided to wake up inside a girl everyone thought was worthless. I climbed those stairs slowly, savoring every step that took me away from that nightmare. The upper levels of the pack house were quiet, it was late, most wolves asleep. I moved through shadows like I'd been born to them, invisible, untouchable. And then I smelled it. Asterisk pine. Smoke. Something wild and clean and devastatingly male, asterisk. My heart lurched. No. No, it couldn't be. I rounded the corner and froze. He stood there in the hallway, clearly drawn by the commotion. Tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair and eyes like a storm about to break. He wore the authority of an alpha like a second skin. Aren Valker. The new alpha. The son of the monster who'd ordered my imprisonment. Our eyes met. And the mate bond slammed into place. So, what do you think happens next? Drop your predictions in the comments. I love reading your theories. And if you're as hooked as I am, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what happens when Mira comes face to face with the one wolf who could either save her, or destroy her completely. The mate bond was a liar. That's the first thing I learned standing there in that hallway, shadows coiling around me like armor, staring at the man who was supposed to be my other half. It whispered safe when I knew I wasn't. It promised home when I'd never had one. It screamed trust him when trust was the one thing they'd beaten out of me in that dungeon. Aren Valker didn't move. Didn't speak. Just stared at me like I was a ghost, which, honestly, I might as well have been. The girl who'd been dragged into that dungeon 170 days ago had died somewhere around day 43. What stood before him now was something else entirely. Mira Ashwood. He said my name like a prayer, like an apology, like something fragile that might shatter if he spoke too loud. You're alive. I laughed, and it came out broken. That depends on your definition of alive. His eyes, God, those storm-gray eyes, tracked over me, taking in every detail. The tattered remains of clothes that barely counted as fabric anymore. The silver scars that wrapped around my wrists like grotesque jewelry. The shadows that moved with me, part of me now in a way I didn't understand. I saw the exact moment horror registered on his face. What did they? His voice cracked. He took another step forward, and I took two back. The mate bond screamed at the distance, clawing at my insides. What did my father do to you? You mean you don't know? The shadows pulsed darker, responding to my anger. You inherit a pack and don't bother checking what monsters lurked in the basement. I've been alpha for 3 days, he said, and there was steel beneath the gentleness in his voice. 3 days of discovering that my father was running this pack like a dictatorship. 3 days of finding hidden accounts, secret deals, wolves who disappeared without explanation. I've been trying to. Trying to what? I cut him off. Clean up his mess. Make it all better. Put a nice coat of paint over the rot. Yes. The simple honesty of it caught me off guard. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I'm failing spectacularly, clearly, since I didn't even know you existed until 30 seconds ago when I felt. He gestured vaguely at the space between us. This. The mate bond. He meant the mate bond. We need to talk about this, Aren said, taking another careful step forward like I was a wild animal that might bolt. Which, fair assessment. About us. About what you are. About how you're going to kill me. I supplied. To keep the prophecy from coming true. Finish what your father started. His face went pale. Is that what you think? That I would, he stopped himself, jaw clenching. Of course that's what you think. Why wouldn't you? After everything. He turned away from me, ran a hand through his hair, and the gesture was so achingly human that something in my chest twisted. I'm not my father, he said quietly, his back still to me. I know you have no reason to believe that. I know that my name, my blood, my face. He turned back, and I saw something raw in his eyes. I know it all reminds you of him. But I am not him. Then what are you? I asked, genuinely curious. The good son. The reformer. The alpha who's going to make everything right. I'm trying to be. He held my gaze. I'm a man who just found out his father was a monster. Who just discovered he has a mate who was tortured in his own house for, his voice broke. How long? 170 days. I watched him process that number. Watched him do the math. Watched realization dawn. That means you were down there while I was. He closed his eyes. While I was living upstairs. Training. Eating. Sleeping. You were right below me, and I didn't know. I didn't. Stop. I didn't want his guilt. Didn't want his pain. Wanted him to just. I need to leave. No. The alpha command in his voice made my newly awakened power bristle. Made the shadows surge forward protectively. I mean, he caught himself, softened his tone. Please. Not yet. You're hurt. You need medical attention, food, clothes that actually. I'm healing just fine on my own. And I was. I could feel it. Bones setting themselves right. Skin knitting back together. Whatever had awakened in me during that final injection was putting me back together piece by piece. Then at least let me help you, Aren said, and the desperation in his voice tugged at something deep inside me. Let me do something. Anything. I know I can't undo what happened to you. I know I can't fix this. But please, don't leave yet. Don't. He stopped himself again, and I realized what he was trying not to say. Don't reject the bond. Because that's what I was thinking, wasn't it? The mate bond was sacred, permanent, unbreakable, except through rejection. If I rejected him now, we'd both feel the pain of it for the rest of our lives, but at least I'd be free of this pull toward a man who carried the same blood as my tormentor. You're thinking about it, he said softly. About rejecting me. I didn't deny it. I wouldn't blame you. Aren moved to a window, stared out at the night. Moon knows I don't deserve a mate after what happened under this roof. Under my father's command. He glanced back at me. But before you decide, can I ask you something? I nodded warily. What are you? The question hung in the air between us. I don't know, I admitted. 1 minute I was dying, and then they injected me with something new, and then. I looked down at my hands, watched shadows dance across my palms. This happened. The prophecy, Aren murmured. The Moonborne will rise, born of pain and shadow, to bring the pack to its knees. That's why your father took me. The memory was bitter on my tongue. He heard the prophecy and panicked. Thought if he could find the Moonborne before they awakened, he could, what? Break them? Kill them? Control them? Sounds like him, Aren said darkly. Always trying to control fate instead of accepting it. Well, congratulations. I spread my arms, let the shadows billow around me. He found me. And now here we are. The Moonborne, risen from pain and shadow, standing in your pack house. I tilted my head. Should I bring you to your knees now, or would you like to finish breakfast first? If you're loving this story so far, drop a comment and let me know what you think Aren should do next. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next part. Trust me, things are about to get intense, ***. He didn't laugh at my bitter humor. Instead, he looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. You already have brought me to my knees, he said quietly. The moment I saw what was done to you. The moment I realized I failed to protect my own mate from my own pack. He took a breath. So yes, Mira Ashwood. I bow to you. Not because of prophecy or power or fear. Aren Valker, Alpha of Silvercrest, dropped to one knee. I bow because you survived 170 days of hell and came out the other side still standing. Still fighting. Still you. His eyes met mine. And if you'll let me, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of that strength. Something in my chest cracked. Not broke, cracked. Like ice beginning to thaw. Pretty speech, I said, but my voice wavered. You practice that? No. A small smile touched his lips. I'm terrible at speeches. Ask anyone who sat through my alpha ceremony. Despite everything, I felt my lips twitch. Almost a smile. Almost. I'm not staying here, I said firmly. I can't. This place, this pack. I understand. Aren rose to his feet. But at least let me give you supplies. Money. A safe place to go. Something. Why? I challenged. Why help me? The prophecy says I'll destroy your pack. Because you're my mate, he said simply. And because prophecies are about choices, not certainties. You could destroy us. Or you could, he stopped himself. Could what? Could save us, he finished quietly. From ourselves. From the corruption my father built. From the darkness we've let fester. His eyes held mine. But that's not why I'm helping you. I'm helping you because it's the right thing to do. Because you deserve kindness after cruelty. Because. A door slammed somewhere in the packhouse. Footsteps. Voices. Multiple wolves, moving fast. Aren tensed. They felt the power surge. My warriors are coming. My shadows flared protectively. They won't hurt you, Aren said quickly. I swear it. But if you want to leave, now's the time. I'll distract them, give you a head start. Alpha. A voice called from down the hallway. We felt something. Is everything? The warrior rounded the corner and froze. He was older, scarred, with the bearing of someone who'd seen combat. His eyes locked on me, widened, then dropped to the shadows writhing around my body. Goddess protect us, he whispered. The Moonborne. Stand down, Eric, Aren commanded. She's not. But Eric had already shifted partially, claws extending, preparing to. The shadows moved. Not violently. Not aggressively. They simply wrapped around Eric's wrists, gentle but unbreakable, holding him in place. I hadn't consciously commanded them. They just protected me. I said, Aren's voice dropped to pure alpha authority, stand down. Eric looked between us, confusion clear on his face. But Alpha, the prophecy. The prophecy can wait until morning, Aren said firmly. Right now, this woman, Mira, is under my protection. Is that understood? She was subject 17, another voice said, and Kate appeared behind Eric, looking pale and terrified. From the basement project. Silence fell like a hammer. Eric's face went white. The project Aren Valker said didn't exist. The one he said was discontinued years ago. Another warrior appeared, a woman with silver streaking her dark hair. Tell them, I said softly to Aren. Tell them what your father really was. Aren's jaw clenched, but he met his warrior's eyes steadily. My father, he said, voice hard as stone, was running experiments on an innocent girl for 170 days. Torturing her. In our basement. Without any of us knowing. The hallway erupted in shocked voices, denials, questions. Enough. Aren's alpha command silenced them all. We will discuss this. We will investigate. We will make this right. His eyes found mine. But first, I need to know, Mira, what do you want? What did I want? A month ago, the answer would have been simple, escape. Freedom. Revenge. But standing there, feeling the mate bond pulse between us, seeing genuine horror and determination in Aren's eyes, sensing the shock rippling through these warriors who clearly hadn't known what was happening in their own pack house. "I want answers," I said. "I want to know what they did to me. What I am now. Why me?" "Then stay," Aren said. "Just for tonight. Let me show you the research my father kept. Let me help you understand what you've become." He held out his hand, carefully, giving me the choice. "And then, if you still want to leave, I won't stop you." I looked at his hand. At the hope in his eyes. At the mate bond singing between us. This was a mistake. I knew it was a mistake. But I took his hand anyway. The moment our skin touched, power surged, his alpha dominance meeting my shadow magic in a burst of energy that made every light in the hallway flicker. Aren smiled. "Well," he said. "That's new." And despite everything, I felt that almost smile return to my lips. "You have until sunrise," I told him. "Show me what I need to know. Then I decide." "Fair enough." He didn't let go of my hand. "Come on. My father's study is this way." "And Mira?" "What?" "Thank you for not killing us all." I snorted. "Night's still young, Alpha." Behind us, I heard Cade whisper to Eric, "Is she joking?" "I hope so," Eric whispered back. I let them wonder. Alpha Valker's study smelled like old leather and older lies. I stood in the doorway while Aren moved inside, flipping on lights that revealed floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive desk carved from dark wood, and walls covered in maps of pack territories. It looked exactly like what you'd expect from an Alpha's private space. Which meant the real secrets were hidden. "The official files are in the main office," Aren said, pulling books off a shelf with practiced ease. "But my father's actual work." He pressed something, and the bookshelf swung inward, revealing a hidden room. "He kept that here." Of course he did. Because monsters always kept trophies. The hidden room was smaller than I expected. No windows. One desk with a locked computer. Filing cabinets labeled with codes instead of names. And on the walls. My stomach turned. Photographs. Dozens of them. Of me. Me in chains. Me unconscious. Me bleeding. Me screaming. "I'm going to burn this," I said flatly. "All of it." "After we get the information you need," Aren said, and there was barely controlled rage in his voice. "I want to burn it too. Believe me." He moved to the computer, typed in a password. How did he have the password? And files began appearing on the screen. I forced myself to approach. Forced myself to look at the clinical documentation of my torture. Subject 17, Moonborne Activation Protocol. The title alone made my blood run cold. "They knew," I whispered. "They knew what I was before I did." "Not exactly." Aren scrolled through the files, his jaw tight. "According to this, my father suspected you might be Moonborne, but he wasn't certain. The experiments were designed to." He stopped, closed his eyes. "To trigger an activation if you were, or to kill you quickly if you weren't. How lucky for me that I activated." "Mira. Read it," I cut him off. "All of it. I need to know." So he did. And with each word, each cold, clinical description of what they'd done to me and why, I felt the shadows inside me grow darker. Hungrier. More furious. They'd injected me with everything from wolfsbane to silver compounds to experimental drugs that had no names, only numbers. They'd starved me, drowned me, electrocuted me, all designed to push a potential Moonborne to their breaking point. Because Moonborne didn't awaken through happiness or peace. They awakened through suffering. It says here that Moonborne were the original wolves, Aren read, his voice hollow. Before werewolves split into packs, before alphas and hierarchy, there were Moonborne, wolves who could control light and shadow, who were directly blessed by the moon goddess herself. He scrolled down. But they were hunted to extinction because they were too powerful. Too unpredictable. Too dangerous, I finished. They were dangerous, so the packs killed them all. Except they didn't, did they? Because here I am. The bloodline survived, Aren confirmed, reading faster now. Deluded. Hidden. Your parents, he stopped. What about my parents? I stepped closer, and the shadows moved with me, drawn to the screen like they could read the words themselves. They were killed when you were 6, Aren said carefully. In what was reported as a rogue attack. I know that. I was there. But according to my father's notes. He met my eyes, and I saw sympathy there. Pity. It wasn't rogues. It was a sanctioned pack execution. Because someone had discovered what your mother was. The world tilted. My mother? She was Moonborne, Aren said softly. Dormant. She'd never awakened, never showed any signs, lived her whole life as a normal wolf. But your father found out somehow, and he. Aren's voice hardened. He tried to blackmail Alpha Valker. Demanded money and protection to keep the secret. No. My father wouldn't, he couldn't have. But even as I denied it, pieces clicked into place. The arguments I'd heard through walls. My mother's fear. The way my father had looked at me sometimes, like I was a lottery ticket he hadn't decided whether to cash in. So Valker killed them both, I said numbly. And took me. You were too young to have awakened yet, Aren said, gesturing to the files. My father gambled that the bloodline would manifest in you eventually. So he kept you. Watched you. Waited. For 17 years. I'd been 6 when they died. Was 23 now. He waited 17 years. You weren't here the whole time. Aren pulled up another file. You were placed in an orphanage. Monitored. The moment you showed any sign of power, any hint of Moonborne abilities, you would have been brought here. But I never showed anything, I said, understanding dawning. I was just a normal wolf. Weak, even. I barely made it through my first shift. Because the bloodline was dormant, Aren said. It needed trauma to activate. Extreme trauma. So when you turned 23, the age when Moonborne traditionally awakened, my father ran out of patience. And had me kidnapped. The missing piece fell into place. I was walking home from work. Someone grabbed me from behind, and I woke up in the dungeon, Aren finished grimly. Where he proceeded to torture you until you awakened. I sank into a chair, my mind reeling. So none of it was random, I said. My parents' death. My childhood. The kidnapping. The torture. All of it was orchestrated to create. I gestured to myself. This. To create a Moonborne he could control, Aren corrected. My father believed that if he was the one to trigger your awakening, if you imprinted on him as the source of your power, you'd be loyal to him. Bound to him. That's insane. That's my father. Aren's voice was bitter. He thought he could control everything. Including fate. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Instead, he created exactly what the prophecy warned about. A Moonborne born of pain and shadow. I looked at my hands, watched darkness curl around my fingers. I should thank him, really. For making me strong enough to destroy everything he built. Is that what you want? Aren asked quietly. Destruction. Was it? A week ago, hell, an hour ago, I would have said yes. Would have burned this whole packhouse down and danced in the ashes. But now, looking at Aren, seeing the genuine horror in his eyes, feeling the mate bond pulse with something that might have been hope. I don't know what I want anymore, I admitted. Before Aren could respond, the computer screen flickered. Not a normal flicker. The screen went black, then displayed a single message in red text. Protocol 7 activated. What's Protocol 7? I asked. Aren's face went white. Fail-safe. If Subject 17 ever awakened and broke containment, Protocol 7 would. He lunged for the keyboard, typing frantically. No, no, no. Would what? My shadows bristled, sensing danger. Would alert every pack within 100 miles, Aren said, still typing. With your description. Your DNA profile. Orders to capture or kill on sight. He slammed his fist on the desk. I can't stop it. The message already sent. Silence fell like a guillotine blade. So every pack now knows, I said slowly, that the Moonborne has awakened. And they're coming for me. Yes. Aren stood, moved toward me with purpose. Which means you need to leave. Now. Before. The window exploded inward. Glass rained down as 3 wolves burst through, already shifted, fangs bared and eyes locked on me with murderous intent. These weren't Silvercrest wolves. Their scent was different, pine and frost and violence. Frostpeak pack, Aren snarled, shifting partially, claws extending. They must have been close. How did they get here so fast? One of the wolves, the largest, shifted back to human form. A woman, tall and scarred, with ice blue eyes. We've been watching this territory for weeks, she said, her voice cold. Waiting for Alpha Valker to make a mistake. Looks like his son just gave us the ultimate prize. Her eyes locked on me. The Moonborne. Our Alpha will pay handsomely for your corpse. Get behind me, Aren commanded, positioning himself between me and the intruders. But I didn't move. Because something inside me had woken up. Not gradually. Not gently. Like a switch had been flipped, I felt power surge through every cell in my body. The shadows in the room didn't just respond to me, they obeyed. You want the Moonborne? I said, and my voice echoed with something ancient and vast and absolutely done with being afraid. Then come and take her. The shadows exploded outward. Not attacking. Not yet. But filling the room like a living storm, blocking every exit, every window, every escape route. The Frostpeak wolves froze. What? The woman started. I spent 170 days being hunted, I said, walking forward while Aren watched with something like awe on his face. Being tortured. Being treated like prey. The shadows coiled around the intruders, not touching yet, just waiting. I'm done being prey. You're making a mistake, the woman said, but I heard fear in her voice now. Kill us, and every pack will come for you. You'll have nowhere to hide. Who says I want to hide? I let the shadows touch her then. Just barely. Just enough to let her feel the cold, the hunger in them. She shuddered. Go back to your Alpha, I said softly. Tell him the Moonborne awakened. Tell him she's stronger than the prophecy warned. Tell him, I leaned closer, let her see the darkness in my eyes. Tell him that if he comes for me, I'll paint the snow red with Frostpeak blood. You can't fight all of us, she said, but she was backing toward the window. Maybe not. I smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. But I can start with you. Want to test that theory? She didn't. The 3 Frostpeak wolves fled through the broken window, shifted mid-leap, and disappeared into the night. The shadows receded slowly, flowing back to me like obedient pets. I turned to find Aren staring at me. That, he said slowly, was the most terrifying and impressive thing I've ever seen. They'll come back, I said, suddenly exhausted. With more wolves. Maybe other packs too. Everyone will want to. Then we prepare, Aren interrupted. Together. Together? I looked at him incredulously. Your pack will never accept me. I'm the thing their alpha tried to prevent. The prophecy says I'll destroy you. The prophecy says you'll bring us to our knees, Aren corrected, moving closer. Maybe that's exactly what we need. To kneel. To acknowledge our mistakes. To rebuild from the ground up with someone who won't tolerate corruption and cruelty. You're insane. Probably. He held out his hand again. But I'm also your mate. And I'm not letting you face this alone. The mate bond flared between us, warm and insistent. I don't do the damsel thing, I warned him. I don't need saving. Good. His smile was genuine. I'm not looking for a damsel. I'm looking for a partner. An equal. Someone strong enough to call me out when I'm wrong and powerful enough to help me fix this pack. And if I destroy it instead? Then you destroy it, he said simply. But give me a chance to show you it's worth saving first. I looked at his hand. At his eyes. At the hope and determination written across his face. This was still a mistake. But maybe it was a mistake worth making. I took his hand. You have 1 week, I told him. 1 week to convince me this pack deserves mercy. That you deserve. I couldn't say, the bond. Not yet. That you deserve a chance. 1 week, Aren agreed. Starting now. Outside, in the darkness, I felt them gathering. The other packs. The hunters. Everyone who wanted to cage or kill the Moonborne. Let them come. I wasn't the broken girl from the dungeon anymore. I was something new. Something powerful. Something they should have bowed to from the beginning. And I was done running. What should Mira do first? Train her powers. Confront the pack. Let me know in the comments. And subscribe so you don't miss what happens when the other packs arrive. Dawn broke over Silvercrest territory like a wound, all red and angry and impossible to ignore. I stood on the balcony of Aren's personal quarters, because apparently I couldn't go back to the dungeon, and the guest rooms felt too exposed, watching wolves gather in the courtyard below. Word had spread fast. The Moonborne was here. In their pack house. Standing next to their new alpha. And they were pissed. They're calling for an assembly, Aren said from behind me, his voice tight. The council wants answers. The warriors want to know if you're a threat. And the elders. He paused. The elders want you executed before the other packs arrive. Sounds about right. I didn't turn around. Couldn't stop watching the crowd grow larger, angrier. You should probably give them what they want. Would make your life easier. If I wanted an easy life, I wouldn't have become alpha. That made me turn. Aren stood in the doorway, dressed in full alpha regalia, black leather that screamed authority, silver clasps that marked him as Silvercrest's leader. He looked every inch the powerful wolf he was supposed to be. But his eyes were on me. Only me. The assembly is in an hour, he said. You don't have to come. I can handle. I'm coming. I moved past him into the room. They want to see the monster. I'll show them exactly what your father created. You're not a monster. Says the man who's known me for less than 12 hours. I grabbed the clothes he'd laid out, simple black pants and a dark green shirt that wouldn't show blood if things went sideways. You don't know what I am, Aren. Hell, I don't know what I am. Then let's find out together. The mate bond pulsed warm and insistent at his words, and I hated how good it felt. Hated how part of me wanted to lean into that warmth, let it thaw the frozen places inside me. But warmth was dangerous. Warmth made you soft. Soft got you hurt. Whatever happens down there, I said, pulling on the clothes, don't defend me. Don't make excuses. Let them see who I really am. And who is that? I met his eyes. Someone who survived. No matter the cost. The assembly hall was packed. Every wolf in Silvercrest territory seemed to have crammed into the massive stone room, their scents mixing into an overwhelming cocktail of fear, anger, and curiosity. They parted as Aren walked through, their eyes following him with a mixture of respect and uncertainty. Then they saw me. The whispers started immediately. Asterisk, that's her. The Moonborne. Look at her eyes, they're wrong. Is that shadow around her? She killed 3 Frostpeak wolves last night. No, she let them go. She should be in chains. She should be dead, asterisk. I kept my head high and my shadows close. The council sat in a semicircle at the front, 7 wolves, all older, all radiating disapproval. The woman in the center, with steel-gray hair and eyes like chips of ice, rose as we approached. Alpha Valker, she said, her tone dripping with false courtesy. How kind of you to join us. And you brought her. Elder Mara, Aren replied smoothly. I brought Mira Ashwood, yes. A wolf who was wrongfully imprisoned and tortured by my father. A wolf who deserves answers and justice. Justice? Another council member stood, a broad-shouldered man with a scar bisecting his face. Justice would be putting that thing down before she fulfills the prophecy and destroys us all. The crowd murmured agreement. Careful, Elder Zane, I said, my voice cutting through the noise. I can hear you just fine. No need to shout about my execution like I'm not standing right here. Zane's face reddened. You dare. I dare a lot of things these days. I stepped forward, and the shadows moved with me. Several wolves in the front row backed up. Turns out 170 days of torture really builds character. She admits it. Mara pointed at me like I'd just confessed to murder. She's been corrupted. Twisted. The experiments awakened something dark in her. The experiments awakened what was always there, Aren corrected, his alpha authority flooding the room. What my father tried to suppress. Tried to control. He looked at each council member in turn. Mira Ashwood is Moonborne. The last of a bloodline we thought extinct. And yes, she's powerful. But power doesn't equal evil. The prophecy, Mara started. The prophecy says she'll bring us to our knees, Aren interrupted. Maybe that's exactly what we deserve. After what was done to her. After the secrets and lies and corruption that festered under my father's rule. His voice hardened. We need to kneel. To acknowledge our failures. To rebuild. Or she could just destroy us and be done with it, a voice called from the crowd. I recognized Eric, the warrior from last night. Save everyone the trouble. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. You want me to destroy you? I asked, genuinely curious. Is that what you think I'm here for? Revenge? Aren't you? Mara challenged. After everything done to you, why wouldn't you want to burn Silvercrest to the ground? Good question. I looked around the room. Saw fear in their faces. Hatred in some. Curiosity in others. And in a few, like Cade, standing near the back, guilt. I'm not going to lie, I said slowly. Part of me wants to watch this place burn. Wants to make every single one of you feel a fraction of what I felt in that dungeon. The shadows pulsed darker. But here's the thing about revenge, it's empty. It doesn't give me back those 170 days. Doesn't undo what was done. Then what do you want? Zane demanded. I want the truth. I pointed at the council. All of it. How many of you knew what Alpha Valker was doing? How many of you turned a blind eye? Silence fell like a stone. That's what I thought. I turned to Aren. You want to rebuild this pack? Start by cleaning house. Anyone who knew and did nothing, out. Anyone who participated, ***. And anyone who can't accept what I am needs to leave now, because I'm not hiding anymore. You can't make demands of this council. Mira stood, power radiating from her. You're not pack. You're not. She's my mate. Aren's words dropped into the assembly like a bomb. The entire room erupted. Wolves shouting, arguing, some even shifting partially in their agitation. The council looked like they'd been slapped. You can't be serious, Mira said, her voice shaking. The Moonborne as Luna? It's perfect, Aren finished. A Luna who can't be controlled. Can't be manipulated. Can't be broken. He looked at me, and something in his eyes made my heart stutter. A Luna who's stronger than all of us combined. Drop a comment if you think Mira should accept the Luna position. And don't forget to subscribe, the next part is going to blow your mind, ****. I never agreed to be Luna, I said. I know. Aren smiled slightly. But the mate bond is public now. Which means every pack coming for you has to go through me first. Smart. Infuriating, but smart. The council will never accept this, Zane said. Then the council can step down, Aren replied calmly. I'm Alpha. My word is law. And my word is that Mira Ashwood is under my protection. Anyone who has a problem with that can challenge me directly. No one moved. Because challenging an Alpha was a fight to the death, and Aren was young, strong, and clearly willing to die on this hill. This is madness, Mira whispered. This is justice, Aren corrected. Long overdue. Before anyone could respond, the doors to the assembly hall burst open. A scout stumbled in, breathing hard, eyes wild. Alpha, he gasped. The borders, all three territories, Frost Peak, Ironwood, and Shadowmere, they're surrounding us. Hundreds of wolves. He looked at me, fear clear on his face. They're demanding we hand over the Moonborne. Or they'll take her by force. The assembly erupted into chaos again. But I just smiled. Because I'd been waiting for this. Well then, I said, my voice cutting through the noise. I guess it's time to show them exactly what the Moonborne can do. Aren looked at me. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said, letting the shadows billow around me, that 3 packs are about to learn why the Moonborne were hunted to extinction in the first place. We can't fight 3 packs, Mira said desperately. We'll be slaughtered. You will be, I agreed. But I won't. I turned to Aren. Give me 24 hours. I'll handle the packs at our borders. And when I come back. I met his eyes. We'll talk about this Luna thing. Maybe. You can't go alone, Aren said immediately. Watch me. Then I'm coming with you. No. I placed my hand on his chest, felt his heartbeat spike at the contact. You stay here. Protect your pack. Deal with your corrupt council. I leaned closer. And trust that I can handle myself. Mira. Do you trust me? He searched my eyes. Yes. Then let me do this my way. For a long moment, he just looked at me. Then, slowly, he nodded. 24 hours, he said. But if you're not back by then, I'm coming after you. Mate or not. Deal. I turned to leave, then paused at the door. Oh, and elders. I looked back at Mara and Zane. When I get back, we're having a conversation about who knew what. And trust me, I'll know if you lie. The shadows writhed around me like a promise. Then I walked out into the morning sun, ready to face 3 packs alone. Because the girl who'd been dragged into that dungeon would have been terrified. But I wasn't her anymore. I was the storm they'd created. And it was time to let it rage. The forest between Silvercrest territory and the surrounding packs was called the neutral ground. Which was a fancy way of saying, the place where wolves met to either negotiate or murder each other. Today was definitely leaning toward the latter. I could feel them before I saw them, 3 distinct pack signatures converging on the clearing ahead. Frostpeak's cold aggression. Ironwood's steady, ancient power. Shadowmere's dark, predatory energy. All here for me. The shadows around me pulsed with anticipation. They'd been growing stronger since the assembly, feeding off my emotions, responding to my will with increasing precision. I was starting to understand them, these living extensions of my power. And more importantly, I was starting to trust them. The clearing opened up before me, and I stopped at the edge. 3 alphas waited. Alpha Kira of Frost Peak, the woman from last night's attack, ice blue eyes and a smile like a knife. She stood with 20 wolves at her back, all battle-ready. Alpha Roman of Ironwood, massive, ancient, with silver threading through dark hair and the kind of presence that made the earth itself seem to bow. 30 wolves surrounded him, patient and deadly. Alpha Theo of Shadowmere, young like Aren, but where Aren had warmth beneath his authority, Theo was all sharp edges and barely controlled violence. 25 wolves at his command, every one of them watching me like prey. 75 wolves total. Against 1. I stepped into the clearing. Gentlemen. Lady. I nodded to each alpha in turn. Bit early for a welcoming committee, don't you think? The Moonborne has a sense of humor, Kira said, her voice dripping with false amusement. How charming. It'll make killing you almost regrettable. Almost, I agreed. But let's be honest, you're not here to kill me. You're here to capture me. Study me. Figure out how to recreate what Aren Valker started. I let the shadows spread wider. How am I doing so far? Roman stepped forward, and the ground seemed to tremble. The Moonborne were extinct for a reason, child. Your kind threatened the natural order. Made all wolves kneel or die. His eyes held something like pity. We can't allow that to happen again. So you'll what? Kill me preemptively? Lock me up like Valker did? I laughed, bitter. Doesn't that make you exactly what you claim to fear? It makes us practical, Theo said, his voice cold. 1 life to save thousands. Simple math. Except I'm not just 1 life anymore, am I? I let them feel the power radiating from me, let the shadows touch the edges of their territory. I'm the thing that goes bump in the night. The monster in your prophecies. The beast that should have stayed buried. Several of the wolves behind the alphas shifted nervously. Good. They should be nervous. Last chance, Kira said, drawing a silver blade. Come quietly. We'll make it quick. Painless even. That's generous. I tilted my head. But here's my counteroffer, leave now, and I let you keep your lives. Theo laughed. You're outnumbered 75 to 1, and you're threatening us. No. I smiled, and let them see the darkness in my eyes. I'm warning you. There's a difference. For a moment, silence held the clearing. Then Kira lunged. She was fast, alpha fast, with a silver blade aimed straight at my heart. The shadows caught her mid-leap. Not roughly. Almost gently. They wrapped around her like silk, stopping her momentum completely, holding her suspended in the air 3 feet from me. I really wish you hadn't done that, I sighed. Then all 75 wolves attacked at once. What happened next? I can barely describe it. The shadows exploded outward like a tidal wave of living darkness. They didn't kill, I wasn't trying to kill, but they swept through the attacking wolves like they were nothing. Holding them, stopping them, pinning them to the ground or trees or air. Within seconds, every single wolf was immobilized. Every single one except the 3 alphas, because I wanted them conscious for this part. What? Roman breathed, struggling against shadows that held him like steel cables. What are you? I'm what you tried to eliminate, I said, walking through the field of trapped wolves. I'm the balance you destroyed because you were afraid of not being at the top of the food chain anymore. I stopped in front of Kira. I'm the consequence of your ancestors' genocide. This proves we were right to fear you, Kira spat. Does it? Because I could kill all of you right now. Snap your necks. Crush your hearts. Make you disappear like your ancestors did to mine. I leaned closer. But I'm not. Know why? They didn't answer. Because I'm not the monster you think I am, I said softly. I'm just tired. So incredibly tired of fighting. Of surviving. Of being treated like a threat instead of a person. Then what do you want? Theo demanded. I want you to leave me alone. My voice echoed with power. I want you to go back to your packs and spread the word, the Moonborne is awake. She's powerful. And she wants peace. I released a little of the shadow's pressure. But if you come for her again, if you threaten her mate or her pack. Mate? Roman's eyes widened. Aren Valker claimed you. I claimed him right back, I corrected. The mate bond is mutual. Sacred. And protected by laws even you can't violate without consequences. The 3 alphas exchanged glances. This changes things, Theo said slowly. Does it? I challenged. Or are you just looking for a legal excuse to back down without admitting you're terrified? Kira snarled, but Roman laughed, actually laughed. She's right, he said. We are terrified. Because power like this. He looked at me with something approaching respect. Power like this could reshape everything. Every territory. Every alliance. Every law we've built over centuries. I don't want to reshape anything, I said, exhausted suddenly. I just want to exist. Is that really so threatening? Yes, all 3 alphas said in unison. At least they were honest. I released the shadows, let all 75 wolves drop back to the ground. They scrambled away from me, regrouping around their alphas, eyes wide with shock and fear. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice carrying alpha authority I shouldn't have but somehow did. You're going to leave. You're going to tell every pack that comes sniffing around that the Moonborne is under Silvercrest protection. That she's claimed a mate. That she's dangerous when threatened but peaceful when left alone. And if we don't? Kira challenged. The shadows flared. Then next time, I said quietly, I won't be so gentle. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Roman bowed his head. Just slightly. But unmistakably a sign of submission. You've made your point, Moonborne, he said. Ironwood will honor the mate bond. We won't pursue you. Theo hesitated, then nodded. Shadowmere agrees. All eyes turned to Kira. She looked like she wanted to argue. Wanted to fight. Wanted to prove that Frost Peak didn't bow to anyone. But she wasn't stupid. Fine, she bit out. But know this, the moment you step out of line, the moment you threaten the balance, we will come for you. Mate bond or not. Fair enough. I could live with that. Now get off Silvercrest territory before I change my mind about the gentle part. They left. All 75 wolves retreating into the forest, their tails metaphorically between their legs. I stood alone in the clearing, shadows receding slowly, and let myself shake. Because that had been terrifying. I'd nearly lost control 3 times. Nearly let the darkness take over completely. Nearly became the monster they expected. But I hadn't. And that had to count for something. If you're loving Mira's journey, drop a comment. And subscribe because what happens when she returns to Silvercrest is going to change everything. I turned to head back. And found Aren standing at the tree line. How long have you been there? I demanded. Long enough. He walked forward, eyes scanning me for injuries. You were supposed to be gone 24 hours. It's been 3. 3 hours to face down 3 packs. That's pretty good time. Mira. I handled it, I cut him off. They're leaving. We're safe. We're not safe. Aren stopped in front of me, and I saw something in his eyes that made my stomach drop. While you were gone, the council did an emergency investigation into my father's files. And they found something. His jaw clenched. About why you specifically were targeted. About why your mother never awakened even though she was Moonborne. Aren, what? She was blocked, he said. Deliberately. By my grandfather. Because your mother was his mate, and when she rejected him for your father, he stopped, closed his eyes. He had a witch curse her bloodline. Made it so no Moonborne would ever fully awaken again. The world tilted. But the curse broke, I whispered. When you nearly died. When my father pushed you to the absolute edge. Aren met my eyes. The torture didn't trigger your awakening, Mira. It broke a curse that was never supposed to be broken. So I'm stronger than any Moonborne in history, Aren finished. Because you're awakened and curse-free. You're a mistake, I said. I'm a mistake that shouldn't exist. No. He grabbed my hands. You're a miracle. And every pack is going to figure that out eventually. Then we have a problem. We have a lot of problems. He smiled grimly. But we'll face them together. If, he hesitated. If you'll stay. I looked at our joined hands. At the mate bond singing between us. At this man who defended me when it would have been easier to kill me. Ask me again, I said. After I'm done talking to your council. Talking. Threatening. Same thing. I started towards Silvercrest territory. Come on, Alpha. Time to clean house. Behind us, I felt the shadows settle. But I knew they wouldn't stay settled for long. We returned to Silvercrest at sunset, the worst possible timing. Because sunset meant the pack gathered for evening meal. Meant every wolf in the territory would see us walk through those gates together. Would see their alpha holding hands with the Moonborne like we were any normal couple instead of a catastrophe waiting to happen. The whispers started immediately. Asterisk, she's back. She faced 3 packs alone. Did you see the shadows? Is it true she's cursed? Are we safe with her here? Asterisk. I kept my head high and my grip on Aren's hand tight. Not because I needed the support, but because I knew what was coming. Could feel it in the air like electricity before a storm. Something was wrong. Where's the council? Aren asked Eric, who met us at the gates looking pale and shaken. Assembly Hall, Eric said, not meeting my eyes. They've been in emergency session since you left. With visitors. What visitors? I demanded. Eric finally looked at me, and I saw guilt written across his face. I'm sorry. I tried to warn you, but they blocked all communications. The assembly hall doors burst open. An elder Mara walked out flanked by 24 wolves I'd never seen before. Their scent was wrong, old, powerful, carrying authority that made even Aren tense beside me. The Council of Elders, Aren breathed. From the High Pack. The what now? The oldest pack. The original bloodline. His hand tightened on mine. They govern all packs. Settle disputes. Enforce ancient laws. He looked at me, fear flickering in his eyes. And they have the authority to execute threats to wolfkind. Oh. Oh. The lead elder stepped forward, a man so old his hair was pure white, his face a map of wrinkles, but his eyes sharp as broken glass. He wore robes marked with symbols I didn't recognize, and power radiated from him like heat from a furnace. Alpha Valker, he said, his voice surprisingly strong. I am Elder Elijah of the High Pack. We received, concerning reports. About a Moonborne awakening in your territory. With respect, Elder Elijah, Aren said carefully, Mira Ashwood is under my protection. She's my mate, and we know about the bond. Elijah's eyes moved to me, and I felt him assessing. Reading my power. My potential. My threat level. We also know she faced down 3 alphas this morning and made them retreat without bloodshed. Impressive. Terrifying. And precisely why we're here. I'm not a threat, I said, keeping my voice steady even though every instinct screamed at me to run. I just want peace. Yes, we heard your speech. Elijah's smile didn't reach his eyes. Beautiful words. But the Moonborne don't do peace, child. Your ancestors tried. They failed. They became tyrants. They had to be eliminated for the survival of wolfkind. I'm not my ancestors. Aren't you? He gestured, and 2 of his wolves stepped forward carrying a silver box. They opened it, revealing a collar, ancient, covered in runes, pulsing with a sickly gray light. This is a binding collar. It will suppress your Moonborne abilities. Reduce you to a normal wolf. You'll live a full, happy life as Alpha Valker's mate. You'll just be contained. The shadows inside me snarled. No, I said flatly. It wasn't a request. Elijah's voice hardened. The High Pack has decreed that all Moonborne must be either eliminated or contained. Since you have a mate bond, something we cannot legally break, we're offering containment. The alternative is execution. You can't do this, Aren stepped in front of me, alpha power flooding the courtyard. She's done nothing wrong. She's threatened no one. She exists, Elijah interrupted. And her existence threatens the natural order we've spent centuries maintaining. He looked past Aren to me. I'm sorry, child. Truly. But this is for the greater good. The greater good, I repeated slowly. That's what Alpha Valker said too. When he was torturing me. Breaking me. Trying to control what he didn't understand. The shadows began rising around me. Funny how greater good always seems to mean whatever keeps you in power. Mira, Aren warned. But I was done listening. You want to collar me like an animal? I asked, letting them feel the full weight of my power. You want to suppress what I am because you're afraid? Fine. Try. The High Pack wolves lunged. And I let them. Let them grab my arms. Let them drag me forward toward that collar. Let them think they'd won. Until the shadows exploded. Not outward this time. Inward. Into me. Through me. Filling every cell with darkness and power and ancient fury that had been building since the moment I awakened. The wolves holding me flew backward like they'd been hit by a truck. And I stood there, transformed. The shadows weren't just around me anymore. They were me. My eyes had gone completely black. My hair floated on an invisible wind. And when I spoke, my voice carried the weight of every Moonborne who'd been hunted, killed, erased. You want to know why the Moonborne became tyrants? I asked, and the courtyard itself seemed to darken. Because wolves like you forced them to. Pushed them. Cornered them. Gave them no choice but to fight or die. I looked at Elijah. You created your own monsters. And now you're trying to do it again. Drop a comment if you think Mira should fight or submit. And subscribe, this story is about to get wild, ***. Stand down. Aren commanded, but I couldn't tell if he meant me or the High Pack. Maybe both. This proves our point, Mara said from behind Elijah, smug satisfaction in her voice. She's losing control. Becoming exactly what the prophecy warned about. I'm not losing control, I corrected, and the shadows pulsed with each word. I'm choosing not to control it. There's a difference. Mira, please. Aren's voice cut through my anger. Don't do this. Don't give them the excuse they need to. To what? Kill me. They were always going to kill me, Aren. The collar was just a prettier version of execution. I looked at him, saw the pain in his eyes, and felt something in my chest crack. They'll never let me exist. Never let us be together. Not really. Not while I have this power. Then we'll find another way. There is no other way. The shadows surged higher, and several wolves screamed. Don't you see? This is what they do. They make you think you have choices when really you only have one, submit or die. So what are you going to do? Elder Elijah asked, and despite everything, he didn't sound afraid. He sounded sad. Kill us all. Prove us right. Become the tyrant we feared. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to let the darkness take over completely. Wanted to make them all pay for every moment of suffering, every day in that dungeon, every time someone looked at me like I was a monster instead of a person. But then I felt it. The mate bond. Pulling at me. Anchoring me. Aren. I looked at him, really looked. Saw the fear and hope and love warring in his eyes. Saw him standing between me and the High Pack even though he had to know he couldn't stop me if I decided to attack. He was choosing me anyway. I won't kill you, I said finally, letting the shadows recede slightly. Not because you deserve mercy. But because I'm not what you think I am. I looked at each council member, each High Pack elder. I'm not a tyrant. I'm not a monster. I'm just a wolf who wants to live without fear. Then accept the collar, Elijah said quietly. Accept containment. It's the only way. No. Aren's voice cracked like a whip. There has to be another option. A compromise. Something that doesn't involve stripping my mate of her identity. She's too dangerous. She's right here, I interrupted. And she can hear you talking about her like she's not a person. I forced the shadows down, until they were just wisps around my fingers. You want a compromise? Fine. I'll leave. I'll go somewhere far from Pack territories. I'll make sure I'm never a threat to anyone. Mira, no, Aren started. But, I continued, ignoring him, if you come after me. If you hunt me. If you try to collar or cage or kill me, I let them see the darkness in my eyes one more time. I will burn your precious order to the ground. I will show you exactly what a Moonborne can do when she stops holding back. And trust me, I smiled without humor. You haven't seen me hold back yet. Silence fell over the courtyard. That's not a compromise, Mara said. That's a threat. That's a promise, I corrected. Now get off Silvercrest territory before I change my mind about the whole not killing you thing. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Elijah bowed his head. Just slightly. You have 1 month, he said. 1 month to prove you can control your power. That you won't become what your ancestors became. If, after that time, we determine you're still a threat. He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. 1 month, I agreed. And if she fails? Mara asked eagerly. Then the High Pack will return, Elijah said, his eyes on me. And we'll bring an army. They left. All of them, High Pack elders, Silvercrest council members who'd called them, wolves who'd stood by while they tried to collar me. They left, and the courtyard felt suddenly, oppressively empty. Except for Aren. He stood there, hands clenched, jaw tight, looking at me like his heart was breaking. You were going to leave, he said quietly. You were going to leave me. To protect you. I don't need protection. His voice cracked. I need you. I need my mate. And you were going to just walk away. What else was I supposed to do? I demanded. Let them collar me. Turn me into a pet. A neutered version of myself. You were supposed to trust me. He closed the distance between us, grabbed my shoulders. Trust that I would find a solution. That we would find a solution together. But instead, you were ready to run the second things got hard. Things were always hard. I know. He pulled me against him, and I felt him shaking. I know everything has been hard for you. I know you're used to surviving alone, fighting alone, suffering alone. But you're not alone anymore, Mira. You have me. You have a mate who would burn the world down before letting them hurt you. They'll kill you too, I whispered. If I stay, if I fight, they'll kill you to get to me. Then they'll have to kill me. He pulled back, met my eyes. Because I'm not letting you go. Not without a fight. Not ever. The mate bond flared between us, and for the first time since awakening, I felt something other than anger or fear. I felt hope. 1 month, I said. We have 1 month to figure this out. Then we'd better get started. Aren managed a small smile. Because I'm not losing you. Not to the High Pack. Not to prophecy. Not to anything. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But as we stood there in the empty courtyard, I felt the shadows whisper a warning. Asterisk, they're coming. They're all coming. And when they do, blood will paint the ground red, asterisk. I just hoped it wouldn't be ours. 3 weeks. That's how long we had before the High Pack returned. 3 weeks to prove I could control power that was older than memory. 3 weeks to convince wolves who'd spent centuries fearing my kind that I was different. 3 weeks to figure out how to be both Moonborne and mate without destroying everything. No pressure. Again, Aren said from across the training grounds. I closed my eyes, centered myself, and reached for the shadows. They came eagerly, too eagerly, wrapping around my arms like excited puppies. Except puppies didn't accidentally crush boulders when they got overenthusiastic. Focus, Aren coached. Don't just command them. Guide them. Like you're dancing, not fighting. I don't dance. Clearly. But his voice held warmth. Try anyway. I tried. The shadows lifted a training dummy gently this time, didn't tear it apart, didn't fling it across the grounds. Just lifted it. Held it. Set it down carefully. Yes. Aren jogged over, pride shining in his eyes. That's it. That's control. That's boring, I countered, but I was smiling. What good is terrifying cosmic power if I have to use it gently? The good is that you get to keep it. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, and the casual intimacy of the gesture still made my breath catch. The High Pack can't argue you're dangerous if you demonstrate perfect control. Unless they don't care about control. Unless they just want me gone regardless. Then we'll deal with that. His hand lingered on my cheek. Together. The mate bond pulsed warm between us, and I leaned into his touch before I could stop myself. We'd been doing this, training, talking, slowly building something that felt almost like trust, for 3 weeks now. And every day, the bond grew stronger. Every day, I fell a little more. Which terrified me more than any High Pack elder ever could. Break time, I said, pulling away. I need water. You need to stop running every time we have a moment. I froze. I'm not running. You are. Aren moved closer, his storm-gray eyes seeing too much. Every time the bond pulls you toward me, every time we get close, you find an excuse to create distance. Why? Because getting close meant getting hurt. Because everyone I'd ever cared about had either died or betrayed me. Because letting him in, really in, meant giving him the power to destroy me more thoroughly than any torture ever could. But I couldn't say any of that. I'm just not good at this, I said instead. At the mate thing. At being close to someone. At letting yourself be happy. He finished gently. The words hit like a punch. I don't know how, I admitted, and my voice came out smaller than I wanted. 170 days, Aren. 170 days of pain being the only thing I could count on. And now you're asking me to trust that happiness won't be ripped away the second I reach for it. I'm not asking you to trust happiness, Aren said, taking my hands. I'm asking you to trust me. That's worse. I tried to pull away, but he held firm. Because people leave. People die. People. I'm not leaving. His voice was absolute. I'm not dying, well, not if I can help it. And I'm sure as hell not betraying you. He pulled me closer. I know you're scared. I know every instinct is telling you to protect yourself. But Mira. He rested his forehead against mine. I'm scared too. That stopped me. Of what? Of losing you. Of not being enough. Of failing to protect you when the High Pack returns. His hands tightened on mine. Of you deciding I'm not worth the risk and leaving anyway. The mate bond flared, and I felt his fear, real, raw, matching my own. You're worth the risk, I whispered before I could stop myself. He pulled back, eyes wide. Say that again. Don't push it. But he was smiling now, a real smile that lit up his whole face and made my stupid heart do stupid things. Train with me, he said suddenly. Not your powers. Hand to hand. Like normal wolves. Why? Because I want to touch you without the mate bond being the reason. Because I want to see you fight without shadows. Because, he grinned. Because I think you're scared I'll win. I laughed, actually laughed. You think you can beat me? Only one way to find out. If you're shipping Mira and Aren, drop a comment. And subscribe to see if they finally admit their feelings. We circled each other on the training mat, and for the first time in weeks, I felt normal. Not Moonborne. Not cursed. Just Mira, about to spar with a very attractive alpha who was definitely going to lose. He struck first, fast, but I was faster. Blocked, countered, swept his legs. He rolled, came up grinning. Lucky shot. Luck has nothing to do with it. We moved together, traded blows, neither landing anything serious but both clearly enjoying ourselves. And somewhere in the middle of the fight, I realized. I was happy. For the first time since awakening, maybe for the first time since my parents died, I was genuinely, purely happy. The realization made me hesitate. Aren didn't. He swept me off my feet, literally, and we went down in a tangle of limbs, him pinning me to the mat, both of us breathing hard. I win, he said, smug. You cheated. I was distracted. By my devastating good looks. By your devastating ego. But I was smiling. Couldn't help it. We stayed like that, him hovering over me, eyes locked, the mate bond singing between us like a living thing. And for once, I didn't run from it. Mira, he said softly. I'm going to kiss you now. If you don't want. I grabbed his shirt and pulled him down. The kiss was everything. Soft and fierce and desperate and gentle all at once. The mate bond exploded between us, flooding us both with sensation and emotion so intense I could barely breathe. I tasted his fear and hope and love, he loved me already, and I felt my own walls cracking, crumbling, falling away. When we finally broke apart, we were both shaking. That was, Aren started. If you say, nice, I'm throwing you across the training ground. He laughed. I was going to say, worth waiting for. Better. He helped me up, but didn't let go of my hand. We're going to survive this. The high pack, the prophecy, all of it. You know why? Because you're an optimistic idiot. Because we're stronger together. He laced his fingers through mine. You and me. Moonborne and Alpha. We're going to rewrite every rule, break every prophecy, and show them all that. A howl cut through the air. Not a normal howl. A warning howl. We both ran for the pack house, still holding hands, and found Eric sprinting toward us. Alpha. He skidded to a stop, eyes wild. The boarders, all of them, they're back. The high pack. Aren demanded. Worse. Eric looked at me, and I saw genuine terror in his eyes. Every pack. Every alpha from every territory within 300 miles. And they're not here to negotiate. My stomach dropped. How many? Over 1,000 wolves. Eric's voice shook. They're calling it the Purge. They're going to kill every Moonborne sympathizer in Silvercrest. Starting with me, I finished. Aren's hand tightened on mine. They'll have to go through me first. Through all of us, another voice said, and Cade appeared with a dozen warriors. We're with you, Alpha. With both of you. More wolves appeared. Eric's mate. Younger pack members. Even a few older wolves who'd been suspicious of me at first. You protected us from 3 alphas, one of them said. Time we returned the favor. I looked at Aren. At the wolves gathering around us. At this pack that was choosing to stand with the Moonborne instead of against her. They're going to kill you all, I said. For protecting me. Probably, Aren agreed. But at least we'll die knowing we did the right thing. That's not, I stopped. Because standing there, looking at these wolves willing to fight for me, I realized something. I wasn't alone anymore. And neither were they. Then let's not die, I said, letting the shadows rise. Let's show them what happens when you threaten a Moonborne's pack. Your pack. Aren asked, hope and joy mixing in his eyes. Our pack, I corrected, and meant it. The mate bond flared bright as the sun. And as we stood there, hands joined, pack gathered around us, I felt the shadows whisper something new. Not a warning this time. A promise. They were coming. Over 1,000 wolves who wanted me dead. But they'd have to get through my mate, my pack, and every shadow I could command. And I was done holding back. The purge was coming. But so was the storm. Over 1,000 wolves converging on Silvercrest territory like a plague of teeth and fury. I stood on the packhouse roof beside Aren, watching the forest light up with eyes, yellow, green, amber, surrounding us on all sides. Last chance to run, Aren said, but his hand was steady in mine. Where would I go? I looked at him, at this male who'd chosen me over everything. Everywhere I run, they'll follow. Might as well make a stand here. With you. He kissed me then, fierce and desperate and full of everything we hadn't had time to say. When we broke apart, the first wolves were already breaching the border. Now? Aren asked. Now. I let the shadows explode. Not outward, that would hit our own wolves. Instead, I sent them up, creating a dome of living darkness over Silvercrest territory. A shield. A warning. A line they'd have to cross to reach us. And cross it they did. Alpha Roman of Ironwood hit the shadow barrier first, his massive form crashing through with sheer brute force. Others followed, Kira, Theo, dozens of alphas I didn't recognize, all leading their packs in a coordinated assault. They'd planned this. United against a common threat. Against me. Silvercrest. Aren's alpha command rang out. Protect your Luna. Luna. He'd called me Luna. Our wolves surged forward to meet the invaders, and chaos erupted. I couldn't watch them fight. Couldn't afford to be distracted. Because holding the Shadow Dome while fighting required every ounce of concentration I had. Roman reached me first, his eyes holding something like regret. I'm sorry, child, he said. But this ends tonight. You're right, I agreed. It does. The shadows wrapped around him, not gently this time. I slammed him into the ground hard enough to crack stone, then turned to face Kira and Theo charging together. They were fast. Coordinated. Dangerous. But I was done being prey. I split my focus, shadows holding Roman down while I dodged Kira's silver blade and caught Theo's claws with bare hands that suddenly weren't so bare. The darkness had solidified around my arms like armor, impenetrable and cold. What are you? Kira breathed, backing up. I'm what you created, I said, and let them see the truth in my eyes. I'm every Moonborne you hunted. Every bloodline you destroyed. Every power you tried to eliminate. The shadows pulsed with each word. I'm your consequence. More alphas reached the roof. 5, 10, 15, too many to count. They circled me like sharks, and I felt the Shadow Dome start to crack under the pressure of 1,000 wolves hammering against it. I couldn't hold much longer. Mira. Aren's voice cut through the chaos. He was fighting 3 wolves at once, blood streaming from a dozen wounds. The dome, let it fall. Focus on staying alive. If I drop the dome, they'll slaughter everyone. We'll take that risk. Just. An alpha I didn't recognize tackled him from behind, and they went down in a snarl of teeth and claws. Something inside me snapped. The shadows didn't just explode this time. They detonated. A wave of pure darkness erupted from me in all directions, throwing every wolf on the roof, enemy and ally alike, backward. The dome shattered, but instead of disappearing, the shadows spread across the entire battlefield like a living tsunami. And I felt every single wolf they touched. Felt their fear. Their hatred. Their desperation. Their certainty that they were doing the right thing by eliminating the threat. They thought I was the monster. But standing there, feeling the terror of over 1,000 wolves, I realized something. They were the monsters. They always had been. Enough. My voice, amplified by shadow and power and rage, shook the ground itself. Every wolf froze. Some collapsed, overwhelmed by the sheer force of it. You want to kill me? I asked, my voice carrying to every corner of the battlefield. Fine. Here I am. One Moonborne against all of you. I raised my arms, and shadows coiled around me like serpents. But before you do, know this, I didn't start this war. Your ancestors did when they decided power was more important than peace. When they hunted my kind to near extinction because they couldn't control us. You're proving our point, Elder Elijah's voice rang out. He stood at the forest edge, flanked by high pack warriors. Look at yourself. Drunk on power. Ready to destroy us all. I agreed. Right now, I could crush every wolf here. Could paint the ground red and make you all disappear like you did to my bloodline. The shadows grew darker, hungrier. But I won't. Know why? Silence. Because I'm not you, I said simply. I'm not the tyrant you fear. I'm just a wolf who wants to live. And if that makes me a threat, if my existence is so dangerous that you need an army to stop me. I looked at Aren, bleeding but alive, staring at me with absolute faith in his eyes. Then maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe it's a system so broken that it can't tolerate anyone different. Pretty speech, Kira spat. But words won't. She's right. Everyone turned. Roman stood slowly, shadows still wrapped around him but loosening at my unconscious command. He looked at the assembled alphas, at the destruction, at the bodies of wolves who died in the first assault. This is madness, he said. We came here to stop a tyrant, but we're the ones who brought war. We're the ones who attacked first. He met my eyes. She's had 100 opportunities to kill us. To prove the prophecy true. And every time, she's chosen mercy. She's manipulating you, Mara started. Is she? Roman's voice hardened. Or are we so afraid of change that we'd rather commit genocide than adapt? Murmurs rippled through the assembled packs. The Moonborne were eliminated because they became tyrants, Elijah insisted. History will repeat. History repeats because you keep forcing it to. I cut him off. You treat me like a monster, so I become one. You hunt me, so I fight back. You give me no choice but violence, then act shocked when I'm violent. The shadows pulsed with my frustration. I don't want to be your enemy. I never did. I just want to exist. Is that really too much to ask? For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Theo stepped forward. What do you propose? Hope flared in my chest. A treaty. The Moonborne, me, agrees to live peacefully. To use my power only in defense. To never seek dominion over other wolves. I looked at each alpha in turn. In exchange, the packs leave me alone. No more hunts. No more purges. No more trying to collar or control or kill what you don't understand. And if you break this treaty? Kira challenged. Then you can bring your army back, I said simply. And I won't stop you. Comment below if you think the packs will accept. And subscribe for the emotional conclusion, ***. Elijah stepped forward, studying me with ancient eyes. You would put yourself at our mercy, he asked. I'm putting myself at the mercy of my word, I corrected. If I break the treaty, I deserve whatever comes. But I won't break it. Because I'm not what you think I am. He looked at Roman, at Theo, at the other alphas. Show us, Elijah said finally. Show us you can control it. All of it. Right now. I understood what he was asking. I'd unleashed shadows across an entire battlefield. Now I had to pull them back. Every whisper of darkness. Every thread of power. Prove I had absolute control. It should have been impossible. But I thought of Aren. Of our pack. Of the life I could have if I could just prove I wasn't the monster they feared. And slowly, so slowly, I pulled the shadows back. Every last one. Until I stood there, exhausted and shaking, completely drained but human-looking once more. Satisfied? I asked Elijah. He smiled, a real smile. The treaty is acceptable. The High Pack will honor it. He looked at the assembled alphas. Will you? One by one, they nodded. Even Kira, though she looked like it physically pained her. Then this war is over, Elijah declared. Let it be known, the Moonborne lives under treaty. She is under Silvercrest protection. And any who break this peace will answer to the High Pack itself. As the wolves began to disperse, Aren reached me just as my legs gave out. I've got you, he murmured, catching me. Always. We did it, I whispered. We actually did it. You did it. He kissed my forehead. My strong, terrifying, absolutely incredible mate. I managed a weak smile. Does this mean I'm officially Luna now? If you'll have us. I looked at our pack, battered, bleeding, but alive. Looked at the wolves who'd stood with me when the world wanted me dead. Yeah, I said. I'll have you. The mate bond blazed bright as dawn. And for the first time since awakening, I felt something I'd thought I'd lost forever. Peace. 6 months later. I stood in the same courtyard where I'd first faced Aren, where the High Pack had tried to collar me, where everything had nearly ended in blood and ash. But today was different. Today, there were flowers. Stop fidgeting, Aren murmured beside me, adjusting his formal alpha blacks. I'm not fidgeting. You've straightened that ribbon 14 times. It's crooked. It's perfect. He caught my hands, kissed my knuckles. You're perfect. This is perfect. Stop worrying. Easy for him to say. He wasn't about to be officially declared Luna in front of every pack alpha who'd tried to kill him 6 months ago. The treaty had held. Barely. There'd been challenges, wolves who couldn't accept a Moonborne Luna, packs who tested boundaries, moments when I'd almost lost control and proved them all right. But we'd survived. More than survived. We'd thrived. Silvercrest was changing. The corrupt council had been disbanded. New laws protected the vulnerable. And slowly, carefully, we were rebuilding trust, both within the pack and with neighboring territories. It wasn't perfect. But it was ours. They're ready, Eric said, appearing at the courtyard entrance. He'd become our head of security, his guilt over not knowing about my imprisonment driving him to be the best protector he could be. Everyone's gathered. I took a breath. Let's do this. We walked into the assembly hall together, and I felt hundreds of eyes land on us. On me. The girl who'd been tortured. The Moonborne who'd awakened. The Luna who'd stopped a war with words instead of bloodshed. Elder Elijah stood at the front, looking ancient and wise and slightly amused by the whole thing. We gather today, he announced, his voice carrying, to witness the official Luna ceremony of Mira Ashwood. A ceremony that, 6 months ago, many of us thought would never happen. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. The Moonborne were hunted to extinction because we feared them, Elijah continued. Because we couldn't imagine a world where such power existed alongside our own. We were wrong. And Mira has proven, day after day, that power doesn't equal corruption. That strength can be wielded with mercy. That the monsters we feared. He smiled at me. Were only monsters in our minds. He gestured for me to step forward. My legs felt like water, but Aren's hand in mine kept me steady. Mira Ashwood, Elijah said formally. Do you swear to lead Silvercrest with wisdom, to protect your pack with your life, to uphold the treaty between Moonborne and Wolfkind? I do. Do you swear to use your power only in defense, to never seek dominion, to honor the balance we've fought so hard to achieve? I do. Then by the power vested in me by the High Pack and witnessed by the assembled Alphas, he placed a silver circlet on my head, lighter than a crown but weighted with meaning. I declare you Luna of Silvercrest. May you lead with strength and mercy in equal measure. The assembly erupted in howls, approval, acceptance, welcome. I felt tears prick my eyes. Stupid. I didn't cry. Except apparently I did now, because Aren was wiping away tears I didn't remember shedding. Told you it would be perfect, he murmured. The celebration afterward was chaos in the best way. Wolves from multiple packs mingling, drinking, actually laughing together. The tension from 6 months ago had eased into something almost like camaraderie. Luna Mira. A young wolf, barely 18, bounded up to me, eyes shining. Is it true you can control shadows? Can you show me? I glanced at Aren, who nodded encouragingly. Carefully, I let a small shadow curl around my finger like a ring, then extended it to form a tiny wolf that pranced across my palm. The young wolf gasped with delight. That's amazing. When I'm older, can you teach me to? She stopped, embarrassed. Oh. Right. I'm not Moonborne. Sorry. Maybe not, I said gently. But that doesn't mean you can't be strong. Can't be brave. Can't change the world. I let the shadow wolf dissolve. Power comes in a lot of forms. Not all of them are visible. She beamed and ran off to tell her friends. Good Luna speech, Aren said, appearing with 2 drinks. I'm learning. I took one, sipped, made a face. What is this? Traditional Luna celebration wine. It's terrible. Why are we drinking it? Tradition. He grimaced at his own sip. We should probably start new traditions. Agreed. We moved to the balcony, escaping the crowd for a moment of quiet. The moon hung full and bright overhead, bathing everything in silver light. Do you ever regret it? I asked softly. Choosing me. Everything that came with it. Every day, Aren said, and my heart stopped until I saw his smile. I regret that I didn't find you sooner. That you suffered so long before I could help. That we lost so much time to fear and pain. He pulled me close. But choosing you. Being your mate. Watching you become the Luna I always knew you could be. He kissed me, slow and sweet. That I'll never regret. The mate bond hummed with contentment, with love, with the kind of peace I'd thought I'd lost forever. I love you, I said, the words still feeling new and strange and wonderful. Even when you're annoyingly optimistic. I love you too, he replied. Even when you're catastrophizing. I don't catastrophize, I prepare for realistic outcomes. You spent 20 minutes yesterday worrying that the decorations were a secret insult to Moonborne culture. They could have been. He laughed, and the sound filled something hollow in my chest. Below, our pack celebrated. Around us, former enemies had become cautious allies. And above, the moon shone down on a Moonborne who'd survived, fought, and finally found home. What are you thinking? Aren asked. I looked at him, at this male who'd chosen me when the world wanted me dead, who'd stood beside me through war and treaty and everything in between. I'm thinking, I said slowly, that maybe prophecies aren't about fate. Maybe they're about choices. And we chose to make ours end differently. We chose love over fear. We chose us over everyone else's expectations. I smiled. And I'd choose it again. Every time. Good. He kissed me again. Because you're stuck with me now. Luna and Alpha. Moonborne and Wolf. Forever. Forever, I agreed. And as we stood there under the moon, I felt the shadows inside me settle, not gone, never gone, but finally at peace. I'd been broken in darkness. But I'd risen in light. And that made all the difference. Thank you so much for watching Mira and Aren's story. If you loved it, please like, comment your favorite moment, and subscribe for more emotional shifter romances. What story should I tell next? Drop your suggestions below.